Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike with smartoptiontrading.com. It's Friday, TGIF, the 4th of November. This is our daily recap. It goes out to all members and for free to everybody on social media. If you want to join us, please come to smartoptiontrading.com. Link in the description below and click on live trading alerts for details on how to join us. So let's talk about this week, and we'll start off with it and say it's been a wild week. So here's Friday. We back ourselves up to Monday. And this week was all about the Fed. So what happened on Monday, we had a very tight range. Tuesday, we tried to break out of it on the open and had incredibly inflationary data again. We dropped. Wednesday morning, more inflationary data. We dropped. Then we came screaming back as the Fed raised by 0.75, but then their language was softer and it sounded like they were going to pivot. The market rejoiced. We took a big ride up. We started to whip to the upside. And then Jerome Powell opened his mouth, and in one of the most bizarre press conferences we ever heard, Jerome Powell, instead of doubling down and talking about the statement, pretty much went against it and was very hawkish and basically said things that were just made no sense, and it basically made the Fed statement sound like it meant nothing. So we sold off huge into the close. Yesterday, we gapped down. Today, we gapped up on non-farm payroll data that it was hotter than expected. The bottom line is data remains inflationary, and we continue to have some problems here in this market. Next week's going to be important. We have two things going on next week. One, we have CPI on, we got three things. On Thursday, we have more earnings, but most importantly, we've already had some of them speaking. The Fed governor is going to speak ad nauseum. And for the first time in a long time, there is now seems to be a divide growing in the Fed. There's some Fed members that want to pause and slow down and reevaluate, while some like Powell are just want to smash inflation and raise until it finally comes crashing in. Could make for a choppy week. In addition to that, we have another decent sized earnings week on tap. From the macro perspective, very little has changed. This market seems like it wants to try to rally. It is a seasonally strong time of year. It had a green October. Typically, we rally into the end of the year. The midterm elections are Tuesday, another event. Typically, that is a rallying point for the market into the end of the year. But it's not having help. Earnings have been bad. Cloud names have been bad for the most part. Tech has been horrible. Semis have been horrible. The only thing that have been good are some of the industrials. Some of the pharmaceuticals have been good, but overall tech has not been good and the market earnings have not been good. So if the market wants to rally, it's going to have to find a reason to rally without the Fed and without good earnings reports, which makes going into next week tough. You can see here we went from an overheated situation. We cooled off. We're just a little bit, neutral to just a little bit above neutral here on the oscillators. That's not a bad thing. All eyes this week have been on bonds and the dollar. For what it's worth here, as we're sitting here with about 335 today, bonds remain overall weak. They're off the lows today, but no power to bounce. That's not good. We want to see bonds bounce. And the dollar is actually not trading too bad. It's weak today. You had a big down candle on this today. The dollar's showing some weakness. This should be good for the markets. So we'll keep an eye on that. The other thing that remains very strange and weird is the VIX. Even on the Fed day, the VIX didn't rally. So it just seems like the VIX is just left for dead and nobody wants to do anything with it. So what was good this week? Well, Boeing was a monster this week. For those that caught it, they had their investor day. You got a 3-day move up to the 200-day out of that. That was an incredible one there. There was a lot of trades I had on the SPX lottos. We trade on those on a very daily basis. Tesla this week tried to go, failed, came down, and look at this. They've been buying puts all week. You can see they were buying the 170s for January yesterday, huge size. And Tesla is basically giving up the ghost all the way back down to just above 200 here. And the 52-week low is 198.59. That's looming. Apple, they've been buying massive amount of puts on this one, the March 135 puts. You can see them still sitting over here on Wednesday. This thing is also giving up the ghost and just right into a 52-week low. So there's a lot of weakness here in these names, a lot of short opportunities for those that want to take them. The semis are trying to wake up. NVIDIA is trying to lead after tried to go on Wednesday, came down, bounced back up, right back into the top of that range, trying to get going. We're keeping an eye on that one. It has earnings coming up in 2 weeks. I thought it was next week for some reason, but it's not. It's in 2 weeks. AMD earnings were pretty much what they expected. It's also trying to wake up, keep an eye on that gap at the 64 level. it's trying to get into there. You look around, Square had a good report, but couldn't do much with it today. PayPal had another bad guidance and bad report, and it bounced back. CRM has been destroyed this week. Look at this. Now, which had a great report and guidance, look at this, gave that all back and then some. That's not what you want to see in a market. Amazon put in new lows since earnings. So did Google, right? So did Microsoft. There's a lot of weakness in tech, and tech remains the weak link. And the other strong area remains energy. Another new all-time high today on the energy names: ExxonMobil, new all-time highs, Chevron. And this is where the market is strip playing right now. It's in this, and it also happens to be in big pharma. BMY new highs, Lilly here, new all-time high today. Merck just not playing today, but staying strong. Same thing with Pfizer. These names are holding in well. So, if you're out there and you're saying, should I be biting here? What should I be doing? It's a time to be cautious. I think the market's trying to find a reason to bounce, but it needs to find its way. Maybe it's the midterms, maybe it's CPI, maybe the Fed comes out a little softer than expected in some of these conversations. We'll see. Hope you all had a great week trading. It was a nice week here. There was plenty of action, long and short, depending what you traded today. We were all over NVIDIA in the room. We'll see where we go from here. So wishing you guys all a great weekend. Charts on Sunday, and I'll be live in the room starting Monday morning at 9 a.m.